What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And the New York Giants made a point of emphasis to add speed to the offense this offseason. A bunch of big additions. Darren Waller, one of the fastest, if not the fastest tight end in all of football. Jalen Hyatt, true 4.3 speed at the wide receiver position. And also Paris Campbell. He ran a 4.3 1-second 40-yard dash in 2019, a fact that seems to be forgotten about by many fans. And he also recorded the fastest time of any ball carrier, the fastest speed of any ball carrier during the 2022 season, clocking in at over 22 miles per hour. So speed is the name of the game. We know that speed kills, and the New York Giants, they haven't been able to produce a whole lot of explosive plays these past few seasons. They haven't had enough speed on the offense to produce those plays, but now they do. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the speed that the Giants added to the offense and what kind of an impact it can have on this team for this upcoming 2023 season. But before we dive into all that, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Also, go ahead, follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, at Fireside Giants, and go check us out on Facebook as well. We have a great community building over there. And before we dive into everything, I want to give special shout outs to 3 more viewers today, to Mike Garner, 53, Sam Fountain, 4721, and Paul Fab, 1977. Thank you guys for your great comments on yesterday's episode. And of course, we appreciate you, Fireside Giants community. We're going to continue to grow this thing strong. And so we just thank you for all of your support over these past few years. And of course, going forward into the future. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right into this, Alex. So how are you doing today, my friend? And what are your thoughts on the speed that the Giants added to their offense?
And to back up Anthony's sentiment, very, very, very happy to build this community around you guys. We appreciate everyone who's been here for a very long time supporting us, and we hope to give a lot more back to you in terms of content, good quality content, and continue to get creative with things. And we're really happy about that and everything that we've built so far alongside you guys as a tremendous fan base. Just really, really, really appreciate everybody. But I'm doing great today, man. You know, every day is great when the Giants are doing better, and I feel like we are making strides. We talked about Evan Neal yesterday. We've talked about Waller. We've talked about so many players. I'm just ready for football, man. I know everyone's itching to get some football back and some live action stuff, some real storylines that are coming out that we can discuss on the daily, and it'll be here soon enough. It's coming up quickly, and of course got training camp and then the preseason. It should be really, really fun and exciting. But today we want to talk about the athleticism. You know, this offense needed more speed and needed more athleticism and needed more strength and power and players that you can mold a scheme around and really exercise their strengths. If you have speed and you got great coachability, you know, the sky's the limit for a lot of these players. You know, even on the defensive side, you see a guy like Trey Hawkins has perfect frame, really good athleticism, but he's just raw as a prospect, and you really need time to develop some of these guys. And the Giants brought in some guys that are proven on the offensive side. You know, we've talked about Paris Campbell, you know, Jalen Hyatt, somebody. We've talked about guys that will make an impact here. Darren Waller, one of the best athletes at the tight end position if he's healthy. You know, this team has a lot of speed. Darius Slayton on the outside and some good speed in the Colin Johnson's kind of underrated for a guy at 6'6". So I'm excited to kind of talk about that, how the increased athleticism will help this offense produce. And we've talked about a lot of the red zone success they've had over the past year. 5th in red zone conversion rate. The next step is just getting to the red zone more frequently, and kind of how the athleticism is going to help boost those numbers, Anthony. But take us away here.
Yep, let's take it away at high speed, like Paris Campbell runs away from defenders and Jalen Hyatt runs away from defenders on the football field. So the first player that I want to discuss, Alex, is Daniel Jones. So we know that he's fast in his own right. Daniel Jones may be one of the fastest quarterbacks in all of football. He's a true threat with the ball in his hands, running with the football. But one thing that I will say about Daniel Jones is that his deep ball has been a little suspect. Now, I think that he's one of the most accurate deep ball passers in the NFL, and the stats back that up. He's got a great completion percentage when throwing downfield. He had a 119.4 passer rating on passes of 20-plus yards downfield last season, which was 3rd in the NFL, and the 43.5% completion percentage on those passes ranked 9th in the NFL. So a very efficient downfield passer. However, he threw only 26 passes, 20-plus yards downfield last season. Let's compare that to Josh Allen, Brian Dable's former quarterback. He threw 83 passes of 20-plus yards downfield last season. That was 2nd most in the NFL. So a big change there for Dable, having to adjust to a quarterback that doesn't push the ball downfield nearly as much as his previous guy. But that might not necessarily be all Daniel Jones's fault. You know, I think that Jones is definitely a more conservative quarterback than Josh Allen, but he takes some calculated risks here and there. He takes his chances. He can sling the ball downfield, and I believe that Jones has all the arm strength in the world to make those plays and make all of those throws at the third level. But what I will say is that Daniel Jones hasn't really had the talent around him to make those kind of plays. And that's going to be the big key going into this upcoming season. The Giants did a lot to bolster their offense. Not only the playmakers that we're going to discuss in today's episode, but even discussing yesterday's episode, the offensive line, right? We've talked a lot about the improvements on the offensive line for the Giants in recent weeks. Evan Neal, we think, is going to take a big step forward. John Michael Schmitz added to the mix at the center position. That's going to be a big boost for Daniel Jones, giving him more time in the pocket and the ability to survey the field for a longer period of time. But again, having these speed demons on the Giants offense is the real key here, because the Giants wide receivers in the past, I want to say 3 years, have really struggled to separate. And a lot of what separating is being faster than the guy guarding you. Just having the speed to get by him or to break out of your route and just blow past the defender. But the Giants haven't had players that were capable of doing that in recent years. Sure, they had guys who could do it in spurts. Darius Slayton has speed. He can get open on occasion, but a lot of the times he does struggle to get open against some of these better cornerbacks in the NFL. But now the Giants have this arsenal of weapons for Daniel Jones, full of speedy playmakers, and it's going to be a huge night and day difference for this Giants offense. So, Alex, when you're looking at Daniel Jones, and we mentioned in an episode the other day, he was discussing that he's far more comfortable now than he used to be, and in my opinion, I kind of interpreted that as he didn't really feel comfortable in the offenses that he's been in for a variety of reasons. But one of them, in my eyes, was the fact that he didn't really have the playmakers necessary to do the things that he wanted to do on offense. But now he does, and I think that's adding to his comfortability. So when you're looking at Jones going into the season and reflecting on the past several years that he's been a good deep ball passer when he's taken those shots, but he hasn't done them often. How do you think that opening up this offense is really going to change things for Daniel Jones? And do you trust him to be one of those gunslingers that can throw the ball downfield 50 plus times per season?
I mean, look, you asked if I trust him. If Brian Dable trusts him and Joe Shane trusts him, I sure as hell trust him. At this point, that's kind of what we're down to, is I really have a lot of faith in our coaching staff. I have a lot of faith in our front office right now. I mean, they've kind of overhauled everything and done all the things that we had asked previously, in terms of modernization and everything they've done. And if they feel committed to Daniel Jones, it's for a good reason. You know what I mean? We know what his legs can do. We know that he has got some serious zip on the ball. We know we can get the ball downfield. Just look back at his rookie season. I'm sure Darius Slayton had 8 touchdowns or something in his rookie season. You know what I mean? And Daniel Jones' rookie season, that is. But, you kind of look at the production we've seen in the past, and now we're kind of seeing this offense take another step forward and kind of add another layer to it. And the next layer is that explosive nature. We've seen what the Bills have tried to do, and the Bills have kind of actually done an interesting thing in terms of they've kind of forgotten about the West Coast style and have gone full out air raid, right? They're just hauling ass downfield, throwing it deep, getting downfield, pushing the defense. And that was the entire thing that they did. And they were like, Josh, if you throw interceptions, we don't give a shit. Just throw the ball deep, be aggressive, create explosive plays, because that's your game, and we want you to expand upon that. Now, a lot of people, a lot of Bills fans were really upset about how the offense kind of went last year. They were really upset about the fact that they lost Brian Dable, and they were like, Josh Allen was so much better with Brian Dable, and I think that the coaching does make a big difference. And, a lot of the coaches, Stephon Diggs has spoken very highly of Dable. Josh Allen obviously loves the guy. A lot of Giants players now speak out about it. But, I think that for Daniel Jones, there's a couple of variables that make him capable of being a great quarterback. And I think, one, the work ethic. You're not going to find another player with a work ethic like Daniel Jones. 2, the guy's an athlete. He's just a straight up athlete. You know what I mean? You look at Lamar Jackson, you look at a lot of these guys, and the truth is, I kind of feel as though Daniel Jones has both sides of it. He can run the ball, not as well as Lamar, obviously, or Josh, but he can run it really effectively. But he's also got a good arm. He's got a really solid arm, and he's really accurate. And I think he's gotten more accurate as time has gone on. And the one thing that I saw last season that really stood out to me was the pocket presence. That was an element, Anthony, that we were really concerned about. I know you guys were as well. The turnovers, the fumbles, the throwing off balance, the making bad decisions. Last year, his pocket presence looked like a different player, guys. That wasn't the Daniel Jones that we saw the year before. That was a totally different player. He maneuvered in the pocket, and that's with Evan Neal getting destroyed every game almost. You know what I mean? he had to supplement and compensate for a lot of weaknesses on that offensive line still and a lack of weapons. And he made throws on the run. He broke out of the pocket, ran the football effectively, broke some tackles. He's aggressive. He puts it all on the line. He fights for those first downs, and you got to respect that, man. Any quarterback that's willing to go up against a linebacker shoulder to shoulder, I mean, not a good idea all the time, but the guy's willing to do it, and you don't find quarterbacks like that very often. A lot of those guys will just go down. Daniel Jones is like, I'm getting that first down, whether there's 3 guys in front of me or there's nobody in front of me. So you kind of have to respect that, in my opinion. I think he's got the mentality of a winner. Now it's just putting the fundamentals in place. Quarterback play, you look at some of the best quarterbacks ever. Let's reference Tom Brady. Tom Brady is probably one of the worst athletes to ever play in the NFL. The guy is just incredibly intelligent. He could sit there at the line of scrimmage, pick apart every single thing that you're about to do on the defensive side. This guy's going to go there, that guy's going to go here, and all I have to do is just wait for that opening. He knows how to get it done. And that's really what quarterbacking comes down to a lot of times. Being a great pocket passer, you can win like that. Patrick Mahomes, he's a tremendous athlete, but he's an elite pocket passer at the same time. He's also elite on the run. Adding those two things together, you get an elite quarterback. And ultimately, I think the NFL is going in a direction of just pure athleticism and finding those guys that can do both things is really great. Daniel Jones has shown flashes of being able to do both. I'm not saying by any means he's elite. He's far from it, but I think that he has the capacity to be an above average quarterback at the NFL level. He could be a top 10 quarterback. He could be in the 8 to 10 range, like maybe 6 to 10 range there, and be pretty solid and win some really big games. But the truth is like the rest of the team has to play well around him, and giving him the tools to be a great player is what's going to make him a great player. And ultimately, I think the Giants are taking the steps in the right direction. Now, they've had to be a little bit wary of the salary space situation. That's kind of been a variable that Joe Schoen's still working around because of what Dave Gettleman left behind, the absolute wake of that disaster. The big contracts, Kenny Galladay and whatnot. You can't spend properly at the position. Darren Waller is a $4 million cap hit, my friends. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of move we have to make. We trade a 3rd round pick for a guy with a $4 million cap hit that can offer you WR1 production. I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go after this season and they went and traded for an actual WR1 with more salary space on the books and the opportunity to go out and get a guy that's a long-term solution. Or maybe they draft somebody, maybe they go out and trade for somebody. Who knows? It could be a myriad of different things they can do, but they found solves for problems that, seemed unfixable. You know what I mean? Without any money, how do you get a guy to produce WR1 numbers? Darren Waller is like the perfect risk to take, right? Like he's a low cost. He can produce highly. He's healthy right now. And he wanted out of the Raiders because they were like doing whatever the hell they were doing. And he was like, he felt it was coming. Like he gave up on them and they gave up on him. So I feel like what we've done to supplement big needs is nothing short of genius, but it also protects us. You know what I mean? Like Darren Waller's contract protects us from really bad contracts and allows us to gives us time to make those intelligent deals, wait for the right deals to come across our desk. And I think that's really exciting. But Anthony, like when you're looking at how the Giants have tooled this offense this offseason, what stands out to you in terms of the value they've managed to acquire at a pretty reasonable cost across the board?
Well, I think being cost efficient is something that Joe Schoen's really good at, and he does a great job of signing players to flexible contracts. Remember, a few weeks ago, Alex, we were talking about words that define the Giants offseason, and I said flexibility, because look at all the contracts that Joe Schoen signed this offseason. Even the Daniel Jones contract, very flexible. It's a 4-year deal. There's a lot of guaranteed money in it, but it's flexible because that guaranteed money is front loaded. So they have the flexibility to get out of that contract in 2 years' time if they need to. Same thing with the Darren Waller contract. They inherited that. They were able to move that cap hit across the full contract because the contract was so flexible. Then you take a look at Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell on a 1-year incentive laden deal has to have a career year and stay completely healthy in order to reach the max value of his contract. And even taking a look at some of these other players, Darius Slayton, and even on the defensive side of the ball as well, flexibility was the name of the game for Joe Schoen this offseason. So he was really cost efficient, and they did a great job managing their salary cap space this offseason to prepare for this upcoming year, and not only for this year, but for the next several years. And so that's why I will always admire Joe Schoen for the way that he's able to sign such good deals. I'm not saying deals as in contracts, but like he's getting a good deal, a bargain on a lot of these contracts, and oftentimes for very talented players as well. So Joe Schoen deserves a lot of admiration and a lot of credit here. But when you look at the players in specific that he added to the offense, there was a clear pattern, and the pattern was to bring guys with elite speed. again, mentioned it earlier, Jalen Hyatt, 4.3 speed, led Power 5 receivers last year with deep receptions, with deep yards and deep touchdowns. Like the guy who was running past every single defense in the SEC last year for Tennessee. And then you look at what Paris Campbell was able to do in his first fully healthy season in the NFL. He put up career numbers, best numbers of his career with touchdowns, receiving yards. He made a lot of big plays. Week 17 versus the New York Giants, they took a shot downfield. He went up there. He mossed one of our defensive backs and had a huge play down the left sideline. So he could be a big play threat as well. And then we all know what Darren Waller is capable of. Pro Bowl tight end. 2 times has he reached 1,000 yards in a season. That guy is able to move all over the offense, play in every single position that you need him to, and has the speed and deep prowess to make some explosive plays. So one thing that I do think is worth noting, though, with all of the speed that the Giants added to this offense, it's not necessarily they have Jalen Hyatt, so they're going to throw the ball deep more. I do think they're going to throw the ball deep more, and Jalen Hyatt's going to play a part in that. But one of the other things that Jalen Hyatt's going to do for this team is run deep, force a safety to follow him, and open things up underneath for a guy like Isaiah Hodgins or a Paris Campbell underneath, because he has great run after the catch ability. And that's an underrated element to what the Giants did this offseason. Adding all of that speed not only gives them these dynamic playmakers that are really explosive, but it also forces defenses to play the Giants a little bit differently. Defenses were allowed to play the Giants very conservatively the past few years because they knew that they weren't getting beat over the top. And if they did, it was very few and far between that those opportunities showed up for the Giants. So now that the Giants have all of the speed and have all this talent that can run past these safeties have to creep back a little bit. These linebackers have to be more cognizant of the players that might be running behind them. These cornerbacks might not be able to press at the line of scrimmage against the Giants the way that they used to. It might be a big shock for some of these defenses, especially in the NFC East, that are going to be going up against the Giants this upcoming season, because they might not be ready for all of the speed that New York has, because they haven't had this in a very, very long time. In fact, this might be the fastest Giants offense that we've seen in the past 5 to 10 years. I mean, really, since OBJ was here, he had elite speed, but outside of him, I haven't seen a player on the Giants offense, minus John Ross, some of these contributors, but not really these full-time starting wide receivers. Giants haven't had these elite playmakers that possess this kind of speed in a really long time. So, Alex, talking about that part of it, not the fact that Jalen Hyatt's going downfield and catching 40-yard bombs every single play, but the fact that he can do that. He can go downfield and catch 40-yard bombs. That opens things up underneath for other guys. Who do you think that's going to really impact in this offense? Who are some of the playmakers that might be able to feast even more now on those short to intermediate routes because of all the speed that the Giants added to this offense?
I mean, I got a couple off the rip that I think are going to absolutely dominate. I mean, my number one dude that's going to benefit the most is Wan'Dale Robinson. When that guy comes back, he is going to be a menace to society. He is going to be amazing. I think that ultimately, if you can't stack the box, you can't flush the middle of the field at those 0 to 20 yard range. You can't just pack DBs there. You have guys like Wan'Dale that are going to be so agile. You cannot cover him in man coverage. Like Wan'Dale, you can't man up against him. He's too quick. You have some good route concepts, some good routes there. He's going to exercise. And ultimately, I feel as though Isaiah Hodgins is a guy I'd love to see get more involved underneath. And Paris Campbell, that speed on crossing concepts. Like I know those 9 routes, those go routes up the seam are going to be awesome. And those out and ups, like there's going to be a lot you can do with him downfield. But that speed, that 4.3 speed, Bobby Okereke told us he's got legit 4.3 speed. He is elite speed. If you have him in those shorter portions of the field, the guy's going to feast, man. He's going to eat. I also think Daniel Bellinger is going to be a huge benefactor of having less DBs in the area. He can be a phenomenal security blanket. Daniel Jones loves tight ends underneath. He loves those tight ends that just sit down or on those little out routes. He loves to get the football to his tight ends. Bellinger can break tackles. He's got tremendous hands. I think he had an 85% catch rate this past year. I think he only dropped like 1 pass or 2 passes. At San Diego State, he was phenomenal. I don't think he dropped any passes. The guy's ridiculous hands. I think he's gotten even stronger now. This is a player I think is going to have a pretty nice second year, and I think we're going to see him play a lot of traditional tight end for the Giants, whereas Darren Waller, we're going to see him on the boundary. We're going to see him outside. He's going to be doing a lot of stuff that's not as an inline tight end. So like my 3 that I'm really happy, or even 4, like I'd say Bellinger, I'd say Paris Campbell, Wan'Dale when he gets back, and I also think Of course, Isaiah Hodgins will also get some good action as well. And Sterling Shepard, I think that's a guy that coming off the injury, he'll also get some work. And I think there's a lot of mouths to feed, but there's also a lot of reps to get.
Yeah, well said. I think you made some really good points there. A lot of those players I could see just seeing their target share increase by a huge margin, especially those guys that are really adept at sitting down in those open zones, like Isaiah Hodgins. We've talked a lot about his spatial awareness. He's so smart. He's so good at running behind a defender and then just kind of slowing down, sitting down in a zone and getting himself open, particularly on those crossing routes over the middle of the field. So I do think that this offense is about to open up a whole lot more for not just these deep playmakers that we added, but for those guys underneath. They're really going to benefit from these additions. So I think we're going to see a new and improved and a totally revamped and far more explosive New York Giants offense this upcoming season. And I can't wait to see it. But of course, we're going to be updating you on the New York Giants explosive offense and everything in between right here on Fireside Giants all season long. So make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comments section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Fireside Giants. Check us out on Facebook as well. And once again, thank you all to everyone that's been a part of the Fireside Giants community. We love making content for you all, and we are not going to stop anytime soon, but we will have another episode for you tomorrow. So we will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.